Welcome back for another deep dive, especially for you, UPSC aspirants keeping a close eye on current events.
That's right. We know how important these developments are for both mains and prelims.
Today we're tackling something, well, pretty significant in center-state relations, drawn from reporting over at Live Law.
hmm It's about the Supreme Court stepping in on the governor's power, specifically reserving state bills for the president under Article 201.
Exactly, and there's this long-standing issues, and their Article 201 lets the governor reserve a bill, but...
But there's no deadline, no timeline for the president to actually decide on it.
Right, and that lack of a time frame, historically it's caused, well, friction, delays, tensions between states and the center.
Absolutely. So our mission today, to really unpack the Supreme Court judgment. What are the key takeaways?
And what does it mean for, Indian federalism, governance, things you definitely need to know for the UPSC exams?
So let's dig into that constitutional gray area first. Article 201, power to reserve, but this missing timeline.
Imagine being a state government. You pass legislation, maybe something quite important, and it just sits indefinitely.
Yeah, that creates massive uncertainty, doesn't it? It can really stall policy implementation. It's been a sensitive point for ages.
And this whole issue really blew up with the Tamil Nadu case, which Live Law covered in detail. That's what pushed the Supreme Court to act, wasn't it?
It was the trigger, yes. Back in November 2023, Governor R.N. Ravi reserved 10 bills. 10.
And crucially, this was after the state assembly had already reconsidered them and passed them again.
That's the really key part. Repass bills being reserved again. The Supreme Court didn't mince words on that specific action.
No, they didn't. Live Law reported the court called the governor's move illegal and unwarranted. Strong words.
Very strong. It kind of underscores that these powers have to be used within the constitutional spirit,
So the big outcome, the landmark ruling that Live Law highlights.
A deadline. The court mandated a 3-month deadline for the president to make a decision on these reserve bills.
3 months. That's quite specific. And what if the deadline is missed?
Then the center has to explain why. They need to provide reasons to the state for the delay. Adds accountability.
Okay, and where did the court get this 3-month idea from? Was it just plucked out of thin air?
Not at all. The court actually pointed to existing documents. Office memorandums from the Home Ministry back in 2016 had suggested timelines.
Ah, right. And wasn't this something the big commissions also talked about?
Exactly. Both the Sarkaria Commission, way back in '83, and the Punchy Commission in 2007 recommended definite timelines. So there's a history here.
It seems like the court was building on quite a bit of previous thinking then.
Precisely. It wasn't an arbitrary figure. It was grounded in past recommendations aimed at smoothing center-state legislative processes.
So thinking about the implications for federalism, for governance, this is a pretty big deal, right? As Live Law points out.
Oh, absolutely. For UPSC aspirants, think about accountability. This puts more onus on both the governor and the president.
And it reinforces the judiciary's role, too, like stepping in to clarify these constitutional mechanics.
Definitely. Judicial oversight in action. Plus, for states, it means, well, a bit more predictability. They can plan better if they know there's a time frame.
And there was another point, wasn't there, about withholding assent?
Yes. The court clarified something important. Just like a governor can't just veto a bill outright after reconsideration, the president's decision to withhold assent on a reserved bill needs to be reasoned. It can't just be a silent pocket veto, effectively. Reasons must be recorded.
Okay, so more transparency baked into the process now.
Exactly. The court even cautioned against, just letting things sit. They said delays like that would fall foul of basic constitutional principles and harm federalism.
That quote really sums it up, doesn't it? The potential damage of inaction.
It does.
Yeah.
It highlights that Article 201 wasn't meant to be a tool for indefinite blocking of state laws.
So wrapping this up for our listeners preparing for UPSC, what's the bottom line here?
Well, as Live Law suggests, it's a significant step. It's about balancing our quasi-federal structure, strengthening state autonomy a bit, making the process more accountable. Key step remains, potentially prelims too.
Understanding the why and the what next of this ruling is really vital for grasping current governance issues.
Absolutely. It's a living part of the Constitution in action.
So here's something to chew on after this deep dive. How will this 3-month deadline actually play out? Will it fundamentally change the union-state dynamic regarding legislation, or will new complexities emerge?
Good questions. What further issues does this raise about Article 201 itself, perhaps? Things to ponder.
Indeed. If you found this breakdown helpful for your prep, do give us a like, subscribe for more, and definitely drop any questions or thoughts in the comments.
We appreciate the engagement. And of course, our thanks to LiveLaw for their detailed reporting that informed this discussion.
Until next time, keep digging deep.